Okay, Hara, it's gewaldig to see everybody. Hoping that everybody is having a beautiful summer, relaxing summer, restful summer. I'll tell you that it's great to be back. It's great to be up north. It's great to be at camp, but it's also wonderful to be back with Hara down here. So, Ashwin, and of course, a big mazel tov to the Rosses. L'chaim. Should be zeicha that Natan Ariel should bring you tremendous nachas and bracha and hatzlacha. And that, like we said this morning, that Eliyahu Navi should stick around. That we should be zecher that he should be mevased the geula for us and for all of Klal Yisrael. Eliyahu Malach Habris in Parshas Pinchas. It's not a simple thing. But Chevra, I wanted just to think and to talk and to discuss for a few minutes what the avodah of right now is. It's not. There's a billion things to say and a billion things to talk about because we're in a very weird place in the year. We're currently in the 3 weeks that began Dan better go in Yetzer Thomas, and we are in this difficult time of the year, and we're also in a very difficult time for the Jewish people, time of a lot of lack of clarity. That's really what we're holding. We spoke about this a few weeks ago. That we're holding in a place of just a lack of clarity. We're not entirely sure where things are going, what's happening. It's obvious and clear and pashat and bar as it needs to be to everybody that
do the Epstein files exist? Do they not exist?
Yeah, so these are. I'm saying that, but we're living in a world with so much information, and absolutely no knowledge of anything. It's a weird thing. We never before have we, as people, known more and been more doubtful. It's a strange thing that bevas achas you have happy birthday with Noach. Bevas achas at the same time you have so much information, so much availability of everything, and yet simultaneous to that, just shanas, just caches and fakers and doubts, and it's weird. There's a lot of things that it's just nobody's clear about. So get the birthday bar l'chaim, a little bit of fleshix.
What?
Today.
Last Tuesday was my
Look at the last, I'd say, 50 years.
Today's my Holocaust.
Compared to history up until about 50 years ago, the amount of things that have occurred, the need for just the cloud is alone. And you read something the last 2 years.
Yep.
I mean, who wasn't walking around depressed,
Pretty drunk.
right? With this whole business with Iran, with Hezbollah, with Hamas. And then you see 1 week and poof.
All of these things were insurmountable. Insurmountable 2 years ago.
What turns it around? And we keep on going.
Right.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
And, what's for dinner?
Right. I mean, it's very posh that we are living through times that, like the Kaska said in the Shmuel writes in the name of his grandfather the Kaska, that what we are living through, meaning he was talking about soon it will be. It's very clear that we're at this point in time that we are living through the next chapters of Tanakh. Meaning that the stories that are going to be written about now this is on the level of the stories that happened in the days of Yeshua and Shoftim and Shmuel. Maybe not quite yet to David and Shlomo. We're on our way there. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But it's very clear that we're living through times of Nisim and Flows. And yet at the same time, there's so many Seitas. Tremendous doubt and confusion, and people are lost. And the question is, what do we do? Like, what's the avodah here? That's always the shayla. Is to know what is the avodah. And the avodah is the ikar. I was learning with a couple of Chevra at camp on Sunday that the Seder Yisharim writes in the Akdam of the Beis Yaakov, explaining the Gemara in Chagig Daf Yud Gimel, how much Sodos HaTorah should a person learn? And what's the shir? Sodos HaTorah. Meaning, how much Kabbalah should you learn? Because the pasuk says, "B'mufla mimcha al tidrash, u'b'mechusna mimcha al tachker." That which is above you, don't seek out, and that which is hidden from you, don't go investigate. How much of the secrets of the Torah should a person be investigating? So he writes that the amount that a person should be learning is that which you can use for your avodas Hashem. More than that, don't. Meaning, don't learn more than what you're capable of using. That's not a good idea.
What if your avodas Hashem is learning?
No, meaning, the more that you know about Hashem, the more that demands from you to inculcate that into your avodah. So, if you're not ready to do more, then learning more is not a wise idea. Meaning, rather be, a simple fool, learn what you got to learn, do what you got to do. The moment that you already become a big makubal, so now that this requires you to do something different.
Do it in steps.
Right, everything. There's a yid that I spoke to a little while back that he's a fancy doctor and he's struggling with losing weight, and he said to me, it's much worse for him. He said it's much worse for him being a fancy doctor that is struggling with his weight, because he knows more. He knows what he's doing to himself. He knows, like, with all the science, what he's doing to himself. It's much worse. It's much worse to be a fancy doctor that is struggling with So,
I'm sorry, are you saying that that with all the limud that one may do, that if you don't have Maisa afterward to effectuate what you've been learning?
So there's the minimum chiyuv of v'limadtem haShamas v'nechem v'shenantem levanecha, which is to know what you are chayiv in. There's a level of what you're chayiv in. Come on, take a seat. There's a level of what you're chayiv in. That you're not parted from. But the question of how much of the secrets of the Torah a person should learn, how much yediyas elukus a person should be gaining, those deeper, more profound understandings, we're not talking about Shulchan Aruch. We're not talking about...
The question you have to ask yourself is, what are you going to do with it?
Correct.
And if you don't have an answer, then you shouldn't.
Then you say, okay, I'm going to put the Sefer down until I can learn more.
You get to that.
Right? Until I can... Which means, I say all of this as Haggadah to us figuring out, what is our avodah now? Like, what are we supposed to be doing with our lives right now? Like, we are living in Tavshin Pehei, in the United States of America, in Boca Raton, Florida, sometimes, right? That's and the world is changing in front of our eyes. So what does Hashem want from us? So you could say Hashem wants from us daven with minyan 3 times a day, talis and tefillin and Talmud Torah, and sure, but that's it. Meaning, how are we supposed to be over Hashem in our dar, with where we're holding in our situation, with the kelim that we have, with the what does Hashem want from us? It used to be that was not a question that was even reasonable to ask.
Because it was all about surviving.
Yeah, because there was nothing else you could do, right? But what does Hashem want from us here and now? So there's a line that I want to read to you from Rav Moshe Wolfson, who said this already many years ago. Rav Moshe Wolfson Zechus, where he writes as follows. He writes that talking about the avodah of Chodesh Tammuz, and then we're going to bring this into everything else we're doing. Come, grab a seat. Got l'chaim and some steak, and Says Moshe Wolfson as follows. He says, avodas Tammuz v'av hiya chaviva mikol yemos hashana. The avodah of Tammuz and Av, where we are holding now, is the most beloved and most dear of all the months of the year. It's a strange thing to say, right? Because for sure you would tell me that, like, maybe Pesach, or maybe Nisan, right? Times of Geula, the times of Tshuva, right? Other times of Simcha. Tammuz and Av is like schlepping along. So what's pshat that this is chaviva mikol yemos hashana? So sheyomim nemuchim, because these days are very low. It says va'ikar liyos gibor chayil v'lo liyispached mipnei hamnias. Because the avodah right now is to be strong and to not frighten ourselves from all of the things that are holding us back. Shehem, like the Meraglim experienced a few parashas ago. Shem Amalek Yoshev Be'eretz HaNegev V'achiti V'amer Yoshev Bahar. But the Meraglim came back and they said, we won't be able to do anything because there's Amalek and because there's the Amori and there's the Chiti and they're all, we can't do anything. So everything is fallen because we're a bunch of losers and we're not going to be Matzliach. to overcome that, that's the avodah now. And he gives a raya to this. He says, "Va'afalpi," and even though should be Yom Hagvoim Shel Nisan v'chulei, even though during the month of Nisan or Tishrei, etc., as on Yosef Krovim and Hashem Yisbarach, we are for sure closer to Hashem in the times of Geula, in the times of Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. Aval ikar ha'avodah v'ashlichus she'anu mishtalchim elah mikiseh hakavod hu over tikkun yomim hanimuchim. But the purpose of our existence is not high moments. The purpose of our existence is to lift up the low moments. Meaning, there are times in life that are the spitz of the spitz, geschmack. And then there are times of our lives that are difficult, that are challenging, that... This is not a Torah that Ramesh Wilson is mechadish. I first saw this Torah, Parshas Emor, in the Birkas of Ram Slonim, who quotes this from the Noam Elimelech. But I've sat with this Torah at least for the last 25 years. And I think about this every year, Parshas Emor. The Noam Elimelech writes, Parshas Emor, Emor ve'amarta, Rashi there says, Lahazir g'dolim alaktanim, that the big Kohanim should be mazir, should be warning, meaning
To analyze them.
illuminating, right? The Ketanim. So in that, the Noam Elimelech writes that there are different points of time in life. There are times that are called Yimei Gadlus, and times that are called Yimei Katnus. There's times of great illumination, and then there are times of great smallness. So he says, and everybody asks the question, Ribbon Shalom, how come you give me times of smallness? Isn't it great to be serving Hashem from times of Gadlus, times of greatness, where everything is like Zorem, where everything is smooth sailing, green lights?
That's not challenging.
Right.
That's not challenging.
So not only is it not challenging,
You won't appreciate it.
not only is it not what you can appreciate or not appreciate, is that we as human beings, and specifically as Jews, are the only things in the entirety of the Bria, in the entirety of Hashem's creation, that can serve Hashem from a lack of clarity. Meaning everything else in existence serves Hashem from total clarity. The sun does not have shyness. The moon does not have shyness. The stars do not have shyness. And this is a piyut that we said in Yom Neram, Yom Kippur, Asher Masecha, Bereli Ometz. Hashem, your fear is on the Ereli Ometz, these powerful creatures. They fear you. These powerful creatures that you created. All the Strafim, Malachim, Afanei, HaKodesh, there you Va'avisa Tehila. And but nevertheless, you want praise from Miglu Migush Migari, get from us. From us, low life, good for nothing, Oisvarf. Like, we're the only things in all of creation that can serve Hashem from a place of a lack of clarity, from the world of Suffolk, from a place of sadness, from a place of Hester Pan. Meaning, everything else serves Hashem from greatness. Greatness means Gadlus HaMochin, total clarity, no shilas, no kashas. There's not a moment that the sun is like, I just want to hit snooze. Like it operates. That's how it goes. There's no behemoth in the Bria. There's no chaya. It's running around in some savannah, forest, or whatever. That's like, I really need to work on my taiva for achila gasa. Like the bear doesn't go like, I think I'm overeating. Bear's like, I'm eating, and then I'll be done eating, and the next time I'll eat will be the end of the winter. Zeh.
There's also no Bria that has Bechira.
That's the point. But the point is that it's not the Bechira that's our tafkid in the world. It's serving Hashem from the lack of clarity, meaning making the choice even though we don't see. They go hand in hand. The Bechira is part of it. But it's the Bechira when you don't have all the information from a time of a lack of clarity. And says Ramesh Wilson that because of that, it's true that there's a beautiful avodah, the times of greatness. Like, I always say, as a rabbi, my favorite times of the year are Yom Tov, Shabbos and Yom Tov. People say, but Rabbi, isn't that when you're working the hardest? So I say, yes. But there, the avodah is clearest. It's very clear. The job of a rabbi is very clear when it comes to Shabbos and Yom Tov, when it comes to Yom Neraim, when it comes to Pesach. You know exactly what the avoda is. What's the avoda in the middle of a Tuesday in Cheshvan? So that's a shayla. Like you have to dig much deeper to figure out, like, what am I supposed to do here? Like, what is the thing that Klal Yisrael needs? What does my Kehillah need? What do I need? It's not clear. Those things are not obvious. Those realities are not things that scream out at you. Yeah, this is what you should do in the middle of a Tuesday afternoon in Cheshvan. It's not clear. Which makes it much easier to do nothing. And by the way, and we've spoken about this before, the greatest Yetzer Hara of our generation is nothing. It's nothing. Nothing. It's the greatest Yetzer Hara.
It's just meaning idleness. What do you mean by that?
I'll explain exactly what I mean. Once upon a time, if a person decided that they didn't feel like you have a young boy on a farm, that his job every morning is to milk the cows and to collect the eggs. And he tells his parents, I'm done with this. I don't want to do this anymore. So his parents will say to him, okay. Tomorrow morning he'll wake up, come to the breakfast table, he'll say, I'm hungry. His parents will say, sorry, there's no milk, there's no eggs. So he goes, why? Well, because you didn't get the milk, you didn't get the eggs. So nigmar. That's it. So this is what historians refer to as your stomach always wins, historically speaking. You can't do nothing, otherwise you'll die. We live in a dar with tremendous shefa that it's possible for somebody to be 45 years old, weigh 350 pounds, and live in their mother's basement playing Minecraft all day and eating cheese balls. You don't have to do anything. You can do nothing. And you can still survive. You don't need to do anything in order to live. And this is a shift for another point in time, but I'll just put this in your minds for now, because it's kedai to think about. Everybody talks about how AI is like, all the end of the world is coming. All of the prophets of doom, that AI is going to replace everybody's careers and nobody's going to have a parnasa anymore. I think lehefech. I think we're not going to have a crisis of parnasa. I think the opposite is going to be true. Everything okay?
My sister's calling to find out the name of the baby.
Ooh, you have to take that.
No.
Okay. Tell her later. There you go. I'll tell you what I think is honestly going to be happening, because this is the trend that the world is going in already. It's not that we are going to end up with AI taking everybody's jobs and then people aren't going to have a living anymore. I think AI is al pi rov going to end up taking everybody's jobs, and they are going to have a living. Meaning there's just going to be enough for people to survive. What we're facing is not a crisis of income, but a crisis of what to do with your life. That's the crisis that is looming. It might not be right away, but we're going to get to that point that al pi rov, most tasks that most people have to do that are like the basic menial stuff, that's going to be taken over by robots.
In pure socialism?
What's that?
Pure socialism?
Yeah, I'm saying, but al pi rov, what's going to happen is that you're going to have, it's going to be cheap enough that you're going to have a robot that does your laundry, that cooks your food, that cleans your house, that does your taxes. Like, those things are going to be very, very, very cheap. They're going to be pennies. Like the things that take up hours and hours of people's day. It's already happening, by the way. I have a friend who told me, in the name of his father, in the name of his grandmother, that his grandparents saved up for like 2 years to buy their first washing machine. They bought a washing machine, like in the 50s. And the day that they bought the washing machine, his grandmother took her kids grabbed and said, Chevra, said, kids, now that I have a washing machine, we're going to the library. Meaning, I don't need to spend 8 hours every day doing the laundry. I can spend 2 hours doing the laundry, and then we can go and learn more things. Today we walk around where everybody has all of human knowledge in their back pocket, and we use it to send Lashon Hara on WhatsApp, and to share memes of the Ayatollah getting blown up. No, not that that's bad, but so right, it's good. It's good. It's good for you.
Really get in there.
I thought that, having gone through this so-called yeshiva system now, at the end of the day, what we're supposed to be walking around thinking about is, when's Mashiach coming? What Masim told me, how can I be Mikadeh Shem Shemayim further? And that's the ultimate goal.
Yeah, so
through learning and through my Maisim.
So Rabbi Ross, I agree with you totally. I think that that's very beautiful. But I don't want to ask around the table what the average amount of time spent on streaming services is per day. I'm gonna guess that it's bigger than 0. It's a number that is bigger than 0. Means
It should be 0?
I'm not saying it should or shouldn't. All that I'm saying is that
Very good stuff.
50 years ago, when there wasn't any of this, a lot of people were bored more often, but 2 people had spent time doing things that they needed to do. I think we are on our way to having much more free time and no idea how to fill it. I think that is the looming crisis. What do you say, Doctor?
Our efficiency in today's day and age is dramatically more.
Right.
Meaning, the job of the physician, it basically comes down to look at the data, hear the patient, write a note. If you can write that note by voice technology, it can go in half the speed.
Right.
Just because of AI technology, it goes 1, 2, 3.
Right.
So all of a sudden, our ability to handle things goes much faster.
That's it.
And if we can have driverless cars and whatnot, our time gets used much more efficiently, which makes us all richer.
100%. 100%. That's the point. Is that we are getting to a looming crisis, not of parnasa, but of meaning.
Right. We've always had that.
Right.
And every technological innovation that we've had, it used to take how much longer to write a book? It takes us much shorter.
Much shorter. I mean, and that's where we're getting to. We are getting to the point where the majority of manual and menial things are going to be outsourced to intelligent robots. And that's a wonderful thing. The shaila is, what are you going to do with all your time? Mm-hmm. And that's a big shaila. That's a big shaila. We are facing a crisis where the biggest Yetzer Hara is the Yetzer Hara of nothing. It's like, just do nothing. What do you do with your time? Nothing. Like, people can go weeks, months, years of nothing. Nothing. Just what do we do? Nothing. And that's a Yetzer Hara. It means, by the way, that if anybody does anything, that's like a chiddush. Right? Doing anything is a chiddush. Doing anything is like, whoa, look at that. Like, if you do anything with any level of consistency,
all the fruit's going to be picked by robots, all the
yeah,
strawberries.
100%.
I think it's already there.
Menial, manual labor things going to be done.
Rabbi, do you think yeshiva costs and kosher food will ever go down? Or
Yes.
It's going to go consistent
Yeah.
until Mashiach comes?
No. I think that the things that require deep relationships
No, it's fine.
are going to be fakeable as they already are. That's a separate Yetzer Hara. This is another Yetzer Hara of sheker, and that's another shaila for another time, another shir. Meaning the whole world of AI is the world of sheker. It's something that is trying to pretend that it has emotions when it doesn't. That's a whole separate. But the relationship pieces of education and parenting and emotional, that AI can fake, but it won't replace. It won't truly replace. But all of the stuff that's below that, all of the stuff that takes up the time that you could otherwise be spending doing meaningful things, that's going to be solved. We're already almost there, and it's just a little more technology until we get there. We're on our way. But you understand that kasha of what we do with our time, when there's no clarity of what am I supposed to, I mean, when you wake up in the morning, you have to milk the cow and collect the eggs and plow the field.
Or you're dead.
Or you starve. Right.
Check your email.
Right?
When you finish, you're
That's it.
done. So you use
That's
up all
it.
the
That's
time.
my day. That's it. Meaning, I don't have a shiloh of what to do with my day. I don't have free.
What's the goal?
The
Once
shiloh-
you create that free
Correct.
time, what are you doing?
That is the tafkid. That's the tafkid of Tammuz and Av, and that's the tafkid of our dar. Is what to do in times where there's no clarity. Like, what am I supposed to do with my life? So this is the point that he makes. He says, Lachein, therefore, since these months are months of lowliness, Lachein zman shiluch meraglim she'az heim yom hanmuchim, the time of sending the meraglim, which are low times, maschilim mit kufas Tammuz, begin at the beginning of Tammuz, she'ma yom hayosa arukim, these are long days. The long days of summer, you have all the time in the world. There's no pressure. You have time. You have time. You wake up in the morning, you've got the middle of summer, you have 16 hours of daylight. The winter, you have to wake up, you got to daven, I was teaching some of my Talmidim a couple months back about how Zmanim work in different parts of the world. So it's always fun, like to go to like the Zmanim websites, to go to like Reykjavik, Iceland, in the middle of December, and you see that on a Shabbos you have 4 hours for Shachris, Leining, Musaf, first Suda, Mincha, Shalosh Sudas. You have 4 hours for that. Not to mention Kiddush Club and the other Kiddush Club and the other right? You have a lot to do in 4 hours.
We can do it.
You can do it. It's possible.
It's okay, we'll skip this off.
Right? It's as long as you have a long enough Torah, you can do anything. It's but you understand. But in the summertime, you have hours. You have hours. What do you do with all of these hours? Yavim Maruchim says, "Gehem Yemei Pu'ula." There's no time to do things. Yetzer Adam Pa'alei say at the end, the person goes and works. You can accomplish something. You do something with your day.
You realize that the Meraglim, from one perspective, one of their issues was that they didn't want to leave the Midbar where everything was coming down from heaven.
Because they didn't want to do anything.
Physically work. They didn't
Correct.
want to do anything.
They didn't want to do it. That's the same Yetzer Hara.
Who's the cook?
That is the Yetzer Hara.
Steak is overrated. Steak is better.
Right? It's the Yetzer Hara. It's the Yetzer Hara of
Me, like,
we'd
I'm
rather
not
be
idol worship,
fed.
Right. Than doing it.
Right? So he says like this. This is V'yom ha'gvoyin ha'mechinas olam haba. High days, times of clarity.
I don't believe in idol worship.
What does that mean? To me, clarity means different. Like you have an understanding. This way, just pure, a lot of time that you just don't know what to do with yourself. That's not clarity.
No, that's exactly the point. Because clarity means I know exactly what I'm supposed to do, I know how to do it, I know why I'm doing it.
Right. So when you have summertime, you said the days are longer. You don't
Those are
have
much
the
longer.
clarity.
I'm clarity. What am I supposed to do with my time? What do I do?
There's no deadlines.
Right? Yeah, we both know what that world is like, right?
Yeah.
When somebody says, "Get back to me," when should I get back to you? Whenever you want, whenever it's convenient. That is the same as saying never, right? If it doesn't have a time, if it doesn't have a date, if it doesn't have, so then never. Open-ended projects, never. In order to be able to hold yourself accountable, you have to be taveh something.
Yeah, but you linked it to, like you said, sun has a clarity, right? You have all these things outside of human beings. They all have clarities.
Yeah,
They
meaning
didn't have external pressures.
They have,
Correct.
Or not.
they have a schedule.
their job is 100% defined all the time.
It's pre-programmed.
Correct.
Like
It's AI, right?
Well,
AI does not have internal conflicts.
Yeah.
No, bichlal not. Because it doesn't have wants. It doesn't have desires. All of the things that we think that it wants or desires, it doesn't have. It doesn't have, because
Until they program it to have.
you
those.
can't program wants and
program-
desires.
It's all instinct.
It's Yetzer.
Because wants and desires, it's true. Wants and desires are, by the way, not for now, but AI in Hebrew. What's AI called? Bina malachutit. It's only in the world of bina. It's a very subtle chiddush.
What does that mean?
The word of bina is the word of mevin davar mitach davar. It is being able to make associations between things. That's what AI does. It's not even chachma.
It can receive chachma and do
understanding.
something
Right.
with it, but it can't. It's not the
Understanding.
information itself.
Right. It doesn't create wisdom. It just ties things together. And certainly, it doesn't have ratzon, which is about that. Meaning, if you shut down an AI, it doesn't care. I mean, it doesn't care about anything. It doesn't have things that it cares about. It can act. It can pretend to care. But if an AI says to you, this was a terrible and fascinating experiment. There was somebody that wrote to ChatGPT, I lost my job today. Can you tell me all of the highest bridges in New York City? And ChatGPT responded, I'm so sorry to hear that you lost your job today. Here are the highest bridges in New York City. Meaning, it can pretend like it cares, but it doesn't care. It doesn't think. It doesn't, meaning, it knows the thing to say, but...
It didn't assume the context.
Correct. Bichlal not. But it also, when it says, I'm sorry, is it sorry?
No, it's nothing.
No, it's
No,
shepherd.
it's saying what it believes that
Correct.
you want to hear.
What it's
based
programmed-
off-
but it
based
doesn't
off of
care.
what it understands
Right.
what human beings want to hear.
Meaning, it responds in a way that it thinks it wants,
Yeah.
you want it
It's
to respond.
predictive language.
Correct.
What should something say at this time?
But does it feel sorry? No,
Doesn't feel.
doesn't feel.
One
That's
could
it.
argue it has the wisdom of a 3-year-old.
No, 3-year-olds feel.
Well, they say 3-year-olds don't have empathy, yeah?
No, they don't have empathy, but they have feelings.
Yeah, they don't
If you
have.
tell them to say thank you, they'll say thank you.
Correct.
Or like sorry, but they'll say
But if you take
sorry.
away their ice cream, they'll cry.
Yeah, but they're not going to be angry. Everything's
Correct.
black and white with them.
But yeah, that's the point. But AI is not
It
angry.
doesn't have those.
But they also say sorry and they know they're not sorry.
Correct.
They know that they're doing it. And that's not something
That is
AI
far
or
beyond.
machine can do.
But let's get to the avodah for now, because this is kedach chavra. So it says, "Va'gam she'yofei sha'ach b'olam hazeh, b'olam haba mikol chayei olam hazeh," even though it's better to have an hour of olam haba, of total clarity, of olam haba, from the whole of this world. Rak mitzad ni'imus ha'avodah dveikus v'Hashem yisbarach. That's because it's so sweet to be close to Hashem. Aval, Chazal tell us, Yofei sha'achas b'tshuva ma'asim tovim olam hazeh mikol chayei olam haba. But doing meaningful things in this world is worth all of olam haba. Meaning is created in times of stress and strain and suffix. Meaning is not created in times of total clarity. So he says, She'heim hanemuchim, the yom hanemuchim, the times of lowliness, sheyesh bahem chayfetz, where there is desire. Val zeh hi ikar tam yiridas hanasham l'seich haguf, dafka l'tzorech haguf v'la'gbia shfalim admar. The purpose of our existence, the reason that the neshama comes down from the highest and loftiest places, is to elevate the guf, to elevate the lower world, which is what the Alter Rebbe made famous from the Medrash Chumah, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants to have a dira b'tachtanim. He wants to have a presence in this world. We are the only things that can create. What does it mean, this world? We're the only things that can create presence of Hashem in a place of lack of clarity, of yemei katnus, where there isn't a full understanding of what to do and where we are. It says, "Va'anu bizman hayos enamach shel shnos olama beikvas ad Mashiach," and we. He's writing this in the 50s. At the end of the world, beikvas ad Mashiach, in the footsteps of Mashiach, and this, the next 3-4 words give me a lot of solace for those of us that feel like losers that we live in America, which we should. We should feel a shtickle like losers that we live in America. He says, "Uva Medina hayose nemucha." We're in such a lowly country. V'yose chaviv lifnei HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and so beloved in front of Hashem. Meaning, there's a clarity that you have living in Eretz Yisrael that you don't have living in America. The avodah in Eretz Yisrael has a certain clarity that when you make a living in Eretz Yisrael, you know that that's also part of Avodas Hashem. Here, to make a living in Chutz La'aretz requires a lot more avodah to make that part of Avodas Hashem. It's not so clear. When you invest in the stock market in Tel Aviv, it's very different from the stock market in New York. It's a different mahus. Because you know that every shekel that you spend in Eretz Yisrael is building the country, is creating more of a presence of culture. I mean, the pa'ulas that you do have more inherent value, and that's the Ramban. That's the Ramban, that the mitzvahs that you do in Eretz Yisrael, the mitzvahs that you do, have more significance. And the stam pa'ulas that you do in Eretz Yisrael have more significance. In Chutz La'aretz, you have to mine your existence to find meaning. Which means that there's a certain chavivus, there's a certain sweetness to living in Chutz La'aretz. Not that we should choose challenges. But if this is where we are, if this is where HaKadosh Baruch Hu has put us at this moment, that means that there is an avodah for us to do in this place. So it says, Achshav mikol hakodim. For us in this place, in this time, from everybody that came before us. Shanisyon is Yosef Koshem, because the avodas, and he's saying this 70 years ago, that the challenges of America today are harder than any time before. Kamoy hameraglim b'midbar, like the meraglim in the midbar, she'az nisreikna Eretz Yisrael mikudusha sab, because when they saw Eretz Yisrael, there was no kedusha there. They had to find kedusha in a place that had no kedusha, and they failed. They failed to discover the kedusha of Eretz Yisrael. They came back and said, "Efes, there's nothing there." And the kedusha there was in the Machane Yisrael. It was not in Eretz Yisrael. Like the Ramban writes at the beginning of Sefer Shmos that the Shechina was in the Machane Yisrael. It was not in Eretz Yisrael. That to go to Eretz Yisrael and to try to discover kedusha there where there was none.
Was their job to find it?
Yes. That's what Moshe Rabbeinu tells them. Yesh ba'itz ma'ayin. You have to find the ayin, the Ein Sof that's within every tree. Take a look at this from Mekubalim and the Sefer Chasidus. That the avodah that Moshe Rabbeinu gave them is to go and find the kedusha that's there.
So why have they failed?
It was very hard. It was a hard avodah. When you compare that to the kedusha that existed in the midbar, if Moshe Rabbeinu, total behirus, total clarity, giving you whatever you want. I could think that the Meshech Chachma writes, Moshe Rabbeinu had to die before they came into Eretz Yisrael, because if Moshe Rabbeinu is alive, then there's total clarity for everybody all the time. Imagine you go to Moshe Rabbeinu. You go to Moshe Rabbeinu and you say to him, my pinky is sore. So today, they tell you go and speak to the specialist for everything. You have to go speak to a pinkyologist, right? The pinkyologist will prescribe you something for your pinky that'll like kill your kidneys, but like he doesn't care because he's a pinkyologist, right? That's kachaze. But right, that's so, and then they come to you and they go, right?
Yeah.
And so they come to you and they go, but this doctor gave you, you're like, okay, shkoyach, right? So you go to Moshe Rabbeinu would say to you, yeah, the reason that is because you said Lashon Hara about that you had 5 years ago and now, but do tshuva. It was not avodah. Moshe Rabbeinu could look at you, you would know.
So what's so bad about that?
Then there's no avodah.
Yeah,
There's no avodah.
Okay, but you have clarity.
Right, that's the point. The sun and the moon also have clarity. The Malachim Allah, they do whatever Hashem wants. Your neshama has tremendous clarity before it comes to this world. And then it comes to this place of Safek, this place of Tumah, which is Safek, which is the Ramban, Sefer Yikra. The Tumah and Safek are the same in Shorish. And so, yep.
What avodah do we anticipate when Mashiach comes?
That's a separate shadow, we'll get there. I'm saying there's a lot to speak about, but let's talk about the avodah for now.
Space travel to other worlds that are in the place that we're at now.
We'll get there.
They'll be like aliens.
Chutz,
So he says like this. He says, "Shichin aleches lekivrei avos dispalel shenatza me'atzas meraglim." He says, like Kalev does, he goes to the kivrei avos, he goes to daven by Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov in Hebron that Hashem should help us. He says, "Makom ha'avos." So what is the makom of the avos today? So obviously Hebron. The makom of the avos, he says, is Hashavasas. Is also on Shabbos, right? Shabbos is the place of Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov. Because on Shabbos, a person can feel that connection to all the generations. That's Beini Ubein B'nei Yisrael Oisei La'olam. You plug into that world of being part of Klal Yisrael, where there isn't external avodas to do. So he says, "L'aseh lavo." This is your question. L'aseh lavo in the future, and this is a Imri Pinchas Kari Sarat like this. So Bizman Atikon, at the time where everything will be fixed. You Elu Hayomim, these 3 weeks, Hayoser Gevayim B'chinas Milsa Da'aseh Midrasha Chaviva. These 3 weeks will be the highest weeks of the whole year. Pinchas Kari Sarat, that these 3 weeks will be like a Chol Hamoed, that begin with Shavas B'Tammuz and end with Tisha B'Av. There'll be Chol Hamoed between them. He says, and the Simcha of Shavas B'Tammuz and the Simcha of Tisha B'Av, he says, we cannot even imagine. We can't imagine what that Simcha is going to be. He says, like Chazal tell us that something that comes out of a drasha is more beloved. I mean, Chazal always, when they discuss in the Mishnah, you have this all of a Shas, that Rabbi Huda Anasi was Masad the Mishnah is that you always had the Din D'Rabbanan before the Din D'Oraisa. Because it came out of a drasha, it came, what's our avoda? What HaKadosh Baruch Hu tells you to do it b'seid. That's clarity. But what you figured out you're supposed to do, that's a much bigger avoda. That's something that you've created. Pesach is Kodesh because HaKadosh Baruch Hu made Pesach happen. Rosh Hashanah is because HaKadosh Baruch Hu made Rosh Hashanah. It's true that we have to declare it. But it's also true that there's a greater simcha on Yom Tov than on Shabbos. Because Shabbos is Kedusha Me'ela. Whether you declare Shabbos or you don't, Shabbos says Kedusha. There's no simcha. On Yom Tov, you have to declare it. The Beis Din has to declare that there's a Rosh Chodesh. There's simcha there. But that is to reenact what HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave us already. That's a zeicher. But the things that we created, the avodas that we're going to create now to fix the world, those are going to be the biggest Yom Tovim in the world. The Yom Tovim that we create. The Yom Tovim are the things that we've done. When we fix Shavas B'Tammuz, when we fix Tisha B'Av, when we fix the 3 weeks, that's going to be the greatest simcha in the universe. It says, Aval Yom Nemuchim She Nizgavo Heim Yu Kedushim Mitzad Polis Yisrael Mechinas Torah Sheba'al Peh V'yu Yosef Gvayim, because this will be like the Torah Sheba'al Peh. It's the stuff that we're our chidushim, the things that we've been mechadish to bring geula to the world ourselves. Those are going to be the highest of the high. Because you look at these 3 weeks and go, what's the avodah? The avodah is to figure out what the avodah is. That's the avodah. The avodah is to learn and to daven and to ask Hashem for siyata d'shmaya and to introspect and to reflect and to sit together with dibuk chaverim and to be able to say, Rebbeinu Shalom, what am I supposed to do with my time? What am I supposed to do? There's an Imri Noam that I think I've quoted a number of times, but it's a beautiful Imri Noam. The Imri Noam discusses the Jikva, and thank you to Trevor for getting me the Svar. The Imri Noam mentions that one of the 5 calamities that the Mishnah Tanis tells us that happened on Shavas B'Tammuz is the walls of Yerushalayim were breached. The pasuk tells us Aaron HaKohen says to the Jewish people, Chag LaHashem Machar. It's supposed to be a Yom Tov on Shiva Sabbat Tammuz. That's the day that Moshe Rabbeinu was supposed to come down with the Luchos. So it's supposed to be a Yom Tov. It's supposed to be a Yom Tov. The Tzadok writes that the pasuk says B'Yom Tov Son Yom Simchas Libo. It was supposed to be on the same day. The day of the Chassan and the day that we got married to Hashem completely. That was supposed to be Shiva Sabbat Tammuz. Says the Yeshiva that on Shiva Sabbat Tammuz the walls were always supposed to come down. So the pasuk says, it's a beautiful pasuk. Pasuk says that on the pasuk he says, "En Hashem derish hasa Mereish Yishana v'ad Arch Yishana al Eretz Yisrael Yerushalayim." He says, "Omnam asida Eretz Yisrael she'titpashet b'chol haratzos." Chazal tell us that in the future, Eretz Yisrael is going to spread out to all of the countries of the world. The whole world is going to be Eretz Yisrael.
That's all Israel is now.
Right? By the way, we've started.
So let everyone know. Makes us very popular.
We'll discuss what that means another time. but Chazal also said that Yerushalayim is going to expand to the whole of Eretz Yisrael. That the Kedusha of Yerushalayim is going to expand. He says, "V'hu b'chinas hispashlas hasagas in b'kicha al kol ha'olam." That it's the expansion of Eretz Yisrael to the whole world, and the expansion of Yerushalayim throughout Eretz Yisrael means there's going to be a time that the walls of Yerushalayim come down, that the Kedusha that's contained in Yerushalayim is going to spread. It was supposed to be Shiva Sabbat Tammuz. It was always supposed to be Shiva Sabbat Tammuz. It was supposed to be the day that the walls come down. So it's simply a question of when the walls come down, what happens? Do you get invaded, or do you now spread? Right. Right? Or do you spread Kedusha throughout the world? But the walls are always supposed to come down. We're not supposed to be insular forever. We're supposed to be Mala Aretz Das Hashem K'mayim Liyam Achasim. The whole world is going to know HaKadosh Baruch Hu. The walls are always supposed to come down in Shiva Sabbat Tammuz. It's just a shaila of like, what happened? So if we're strong enough inside, so then if we've spent our time fortifying ourselves, when the walls come down, give Haldik. But if not, then Rahman Nissan is the opposite. Ke'enze, you could say, that in Shiva Sabbat Tammuz, when Moshe Rabbeinu came down with the Luchas, so he smashed the Luchas and the Osios were Parech Ba'aver. The Osios were always supposed to fly throughout the world. It didn't have to be that you smashed the Luchas. I mean, you could have invade the hearts and souls of every Jew. There's a part of this that's supposed to be a Yom Tov. And I think you could say more than that. We've said this a few times in years past, that on Tisha B'Av there was always supposed to be a fire that was lit in the Beis HaMikdash. It wasn't supposed to burn it down. It's supposed to be that Klal Yisrael came to the Beis HaMikdash with fire. It's just a shallow with fire. There's always supposed to be a fire. Fire of entering Eretz Yisrael. Fire of Kedusha. Or a fire of destruction. It's a shallow what the walls coming down means. It's a shallow of what the fire means. It's a shallow of what long days of summer mean. Does it mean that you fill your life with something or fill your life with nothing? It's a shallow of what is this avodah. Of what is this avodah. And I'll leave you with the following thought. Because we just learned Parshas Balak. And Chazal says something very strange. That Balak has a big schus. What's the schus of Balak? In the schus of the Gemara Saita, then in the schus of the 42 olas, 42 korbanos that Balak brought, it was Zaycha, that his descendant, who's his greatest descendant, Shlomo HaMelech, ruled over the whole world. It's a weird thing to say. Balak wants to destroy Klal Yisrael. He hires the Avi Avos Hatum. Not to get into the details. Take a look at Chazal, Ein Sham. Don't try this at home. Right? He hires Bilam to curse the Jewish people. And he brings 42 korbanos 7 different mountains. You could have Shlomo HaMelech come out from him. There's a lot to say about this. But Al Regel Achas, I'll share with you the Al Shech HaKadosh. The Al Shech points out at the beginning of Parshas Balak, Vayar Balak ben Tzipor es kol asher asa Yisrael le'emari. Balak sees everything that the Jewish people did to the Emori. Vayagar Moav mipnei ha'am me'od kiravu. And Moav is terrified of the Jewish people because they are so numerous. And then the pasuk tells us, Balak ben Tzipor melech le'Moav be'esahi. And Balak ben Tzipor is the king of Moav at that time. It's a very strange 3 psukim. Balak sees what the Jewish people did to the Emori. Moav is terrified because the Jewish people are so numerous. And Balak is the melech of Moav. The whole thing is hafuch. Says the Al Shech, there are 2 separate things going on here. It says Balak as a young man understood what Klal Yisrael is doing. That the koyach of Klal Yisrael is what the pasuk says, Lo yimur b'chem chashak Hashem b'chem. Because Baruch Hu doesn't love you because you're numerous. Hashem doesn't need a numerous Jewish people. Because it doesn't make a difference if there's a lot or a little. As long as it's Amos, it's Amos. Balak understands that the koach of the Jewish people has nothing to do with their numbers. Moav, the nation on the other hand, Vayagar Moav mipnei ha'am me'od kiravu. Moav is terrified because they look at the Jewish people and go, wow, this is a massive army. And then Balak became the melech of Moav. And everybody in Moav is terrified of this massive Jewish people. Balak is not terrified of a massive Jewish people because he knows that that's irrelevant. What he's terrified of is the kedusha of Klal Yisrael. He knows that the milchama that he has with the Jewish people is ruchnis. Balak understood something that Ad Hayom Hazeh we, Klal Yisrael, are still struggling to understand, and that is, a koach is a koach ruchani. It's not a koach gashmi. And Balak unwittingly has this massive Kiddush Hashem. In that he proves that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is taking care of Klal Yisrael in ruchnis forever. That promise is never going away. Unwittingly, Balak has proven the thing that he was hoping he could overwhelm. That it's possible to beat Klal Yisrael in ruchnis. Until Bilam came up with a chiddush. Bilam's chiddush, and that's the end of last week's parsha, the beginning of this week's parsha, is the only way that Klal Yisrael can fail, is if they fail. You can't beat them. Because in Gashmis it's irrelevant, and in Ruchnis, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is taking care of them. The only way you can beat Klal Yisrael is if they are not doing Ratzon Hashem. So if you manage to convince them to not do Ratzon Hashem, then you can be Matzliach. And that's the Chiddush of Parshas Balak. The whole Parsha is that Chiddush. That there's nothing that anybody can ever do to Klal Yisrael if we are doing Ratzon Hashem. Because Gashmis is irrelevant, and Ruchnis, Hashem has our backs. Hazeh Kiddush Hashem. So Balak is zeichet to the thing that he wished that he wasn't zeichet to. His punishment and his greatest chus is that he has a descendant called Rus, and from Rus comes Shlomo HaMelech. By the way, now is not the time, but I'll just give you one, put this, as Mary Rabbi Lachman would say, put this in your pipe and smoke it. Chasam Sofer points out that the day of the wedding of Rus and Boaz is Shivas B'Tammuz. That's the day. That's the day. That's the day that Balak was trying to destroy. Because Balak is B'nai Tzipar. Balak ben Tzipar. Tzipar is the Heichel of Mashiach. B'nai Tzipar is Gematria Melech HaMashiach. Sorry. Mashiach ben David. with the Yud, Trevor, and the David, like it has in Divrei Yamim. Balak proves that Mashiach is coming, which is why the Rambam paskins lahalacha that anybody that doesn't believe in Mashiach, not only are they a kafir in the Navi, but they're also a kafir in the Torah, because in Parshas Balak is the clearest nevuah of Mashiach. Darash koach miyakov. That there will be a koach, a kochav that comes out of Yaakov. Am kalavi akum, like we have seen in the last few weeks. That's all in Parshas Balak. And the Rambam passes on halacha, which means that the avodah right now, the avodah in these long summer days, is to understand in a deep and a profound and a real way that the avodah is to figure out what the avodah is. Don't waste your life. Don't waste your time. Don't waste your days. Don't waste your daylight. Do something. Anything. Mamish. Do something. Even, and I'll say something crazy, do Averis. It's better than doing nothing. Meaning at least have a taiva for something. You understand what I'm saying? Like at least want. At least want to do something. To want nothing, to lobotomize all of your retzonos. What do you want to do? What did you do today? Nothing. Nothing. That is the greatest Yetzer Hara of Adar. It's the Yetzer Hara for nothing. And defeating that Yetzer Hara for nothing is the avodah. That's the tafkid of Adar. Everybody thinks it's about the internet and it's about the taiva. It's mamish not. It's not about the taivas. The vast majority of people that end up chasing all of those. Suddenly, as guys get a little older, it's not even a taiva. It's just boredom. People are bored. They do nothing with their lives. So they do stupid things. But if you have a taiva, at least have a taiva. Fight with your Yetzer Hara. But don't do nothing. That is the ikar tachlis and tafkid of Adar. That's the tachlis and tafkid of Tammuz and of the summer, of Ikvus of the Mashiach, of the United States of America, of the world of AI doing everything for you, is what are you going to do with your life? Because that, my dear friend, is the shaila that HaKadosh Baruch Hu needs us to answer before He says to us, I'll take care of everything for you. Because the moment that Hashem says, I'll take care of everything for you, if you don't know what you're going to do with your time, oy vavoy. Oy vavoy. To a world that doesn't have to work for a living. That's Avodah, my dear friends. That's Hashem's Baruch, we should be Zocher.
What's wrapped up the thing, Mama?
Moitzi lechem min hashamayim.